He hadn't cried since the funeral. Not when he packed her clothes, not when he picked up the death certificate, not even when the airline mailed back what was left of her suitcase, burnt leather, a melted zipper, and the scent of jet fuel that lingered like a ghost. But tonight, in Terminal C of a half-shuttered airport blanketed in snow, Andrew Foster wept for the first time in 6 months. His wife Laura died in a crash over the Appalachians, Flight 219. No survivors. He'd told himself she didn't suffer. He'd repeated it like gospel, because the alternative was too cruel to imagine. That night, he'd gone numb. He drifted through grief like it was a fog. Friends called, casseroles arrived, and the house filled with flowers, but none of it mattered. Laura was gone. The vibrant, fiercely intelligent woman he met at an airport lounge in 2014. The one who laughed at his fear of turbulence. The one who kissed him at Gate 47. Their secret meeting spot before every trip. Tonight, he was supposed to fly to Raleigh. It was a business trip, until the storm came. A blizzard had locked down the city, delays stacked up like dominoes, passengers scattered to nearby hotels. But not Andrew. He stayed behind, sat at Gate 34, and stared out the window into a swirl of white. It felt fitting. That's when his phone buzzed. One new message from Laura. He stared at the screen, frozen. The contact hadn't been deleted. He couldn't bring himself to do it. But the message was real. You always hated airport sushi. Andrew's heart stuttered. That line. It was theirs. During their honeymoon layover in Tokyo, he'd made the mistake of eating tuna from a kiosk. He spent the next flight vomiting into a barf bag while she giggled, rubbing his back and whispering, "Told you so." No one else knew that story. No one. He stood up slowly, glancing around. The terminal was almost empty. Lights dimmed to half power, no announcements, no staff, just a few janitors in the distance. His hands trembled as he typed back, "Who is this?" No reply. Not for another 10 minutes. Gate 47, she's waiting. He nearly dropped the phone. Gate 47. Their gate. He started walking, slowly at first, then faster, past the shuttered gift shops, past the vending machines humming in the silence. Every footstep echoed. When he reached Gate 47, the lights above the sign flickered. The screen still read, Flight 219 delayed. Delayed. Not canceled. The gate was dark. No agents, no passengers. But someone was sitting in the last row. A figure, female. Hair pulled back the way Laura used to wear it, legs crossed, head down, staring at her phone. Andrew's breath caught. Laura? No response. He stepped closer. The figure looked up. She smiled. That soft, familiar smile that once made turbulence feel like nothing. He took a step forward, and the power died, all at once. The lights, the monitors, the heat. Gone. Total black. A second passed, then 5, then 10. Emergency lights flickered to life. The seat was empty. So was the gate. His phone? Dead. No battery warning, just off. He staggered backward, pulse racing, eyes searching every shadow. The janitor who passed earlier, gone. Even the vending machine lights were dark. It took 2 hours for the snowplows to clear the road. When he finally left the terminal, a strange calm settled over him. He didn't speak of the messages, not even to his therapist. But a week later, he received a package. No return address. Inside, a boarding pass. Flight 219. Seat 14A. His wife's seat. Folded into the corner of the envelope was a photo. A printed Polaroid. It showed Andrew sitting alone at Gate 47, asleep. In the background, just behind the window, there was a figure, smiling. She looked just like Laura, only her eyes were different. Too dark, too wide, watching. She always walks the runway first, before the birds scatter, before the first gate opens, before the control tower switches from night crew to morning. She's already there, watching, waiting in her yellow jacket. She doesn't belong in any flight log. She's never booked a seat. She has no ID, no guardian, no past. But for the past 16 years, she's been seen, more than a dozen times, by pilots, mechanics, air traffic controllers, even passengers waiting for red-eye departures. Each time, the same pattern follows. Each time, the airport bleeds. They call her the marker. Not because she causes accidents, but because she appears just before they happen. The first known sighting was in January 2008, Flight 792 out of JFK. A winter storm had delayed all takeoffs. A junior mechanic swore he saw a girl on the runway, barefoot, silent, staring at the plane. They halted departure, inspected every inch of the aircraft, found nothing, cleared for takeoff. 32 minutes later, the engine failed at 30,000 feet. 23 dead. The mechanic resigned. He still swears he saw her. Since then, she's become a whispered omen, a yellow blur on the edge of security cams, a child no one can catch who leaves no footprints and never, ever makes a sound. But her story doesn't start in 2008. It starts in 1996. Flight 1609, a red-eye from Denver to New York. An early morning cleaning crew opened the underbelly luggage compartment and found a child's body curled behind the bags. 7 years old, wearing a school windbreaker. Yellow. Her name was Lily Keller. She'd gone missing the night before. Security footage from the Denver terminal caught a glimpse. Lily slipping beneath the conveyor belt, unnoticed, giggling. She thought it was a game. She hid in the cargo bay, and no one ever found her, until it was too late. The airline paid a settlement. The case was closed, but the sightings began not long after. She never speaks. She never cries. And when she's seen, tragedy follows. March 2013, LAX. A flight overshot the runway by 400 feet. The pilot survived, barely. He told investigators he saw a little girl near the landing strip, in a yellow jacket. He tried to swerve. His co-pilot said there was no one there. April 2017, Seattle, Tacoma. An airport janitor suffered a heart attack after locking eyes with a girl standing in a restricted zone. No cameras picked her up, but a scratchy, looping radio transmission was logged on the tower feed. "Don't leave me! Don't leave me! Don't leave me!" Repeating, over and over, for 11 minutes, before going silent. August 2021, JFK again, Gate B6. A retired pilot named David Lorne was boarding when he saw her on the tarmac. Sunset light, yellow jacket, blank stare. He followed her, left the terminal, walked across the runway. Security footage shows him disappearing behind a row of parked luggage carts. He was never seen again. No body, no note, no record of where he went. Just one strange detail. The plane he was meant to board, Flight 220 to Phoenix, suffered a cabin pressure failure 44 minutes into flight. 2 passengers died, one of them sitting in the seat David Lorne had booked. There's no confirmed reason she appears. No obvious motive, no malice, only grief. Some say she's looking for her mother. Others think she doesn't know she's dead. She wanders because she was never meant to arrive. She walks because she was never supposed to fly. But one thing is certain. She returns, and always in yellow. Not crying, not warning, just walking the edge of the runway before the chaos begins. They've tried removing her from the record. They've blamed fatigue, hallucinations, faulty radar, but she comes back, and every time she does, someone disappears. The girl in the yellow jacket, unclaimed, unseen, unleaving. Terminal 4 is never supposed to be empty, but at 2:17 a.m. on June 12, 2022, it was. No voices, no boarding calls, no flight crew. Just a single college student waking up alone in a plastic airport seat. No ID tag, no announcements, no exit. His name was Evan Blake, 21 years old, a junior at Temple University. He was flying home to Philadelphia after visiting his girlfriend in Boston, a short layover at JFK, just under 2 hours. Long enough to eat, charge his phone, and nap near Gate B27. When he dozed off, the terminal was busy. When he opened his eyes again, it wasn't. At first, Evan thought he'd missed his flight, that everyone had boarded and no one bothered to wake him. But his phone was dead. The charging port was still plugged in, but the outlet was cold, powerless. He stood up, looked around. The food court? Empty. Starbucks closed, escalators motionless, every gate monitor blank. He walked to the information desk. No one there. The overhead speakers, the ones that usually ping every 15 seconds, silent. Still groggy, he started recording a Snapchat video. "Yo, where the hell is everybody?" He joked, half laughing. That's when he noticed the suitcase, sitting 5 feet from where he slept, dusty, scuffed, with a canvas exterior and rusted zippers. But what really made him stop was his name. Evan Blake stenciled on the side in faded, almost military-style ink. He hadn't checked a bag, hadn't brought one like that. He knelt down, unzipped it. Inside, folded clothes, sweaters, slacks, shoes, none of which were his. At the bottom, wrapped in an old scarf, was a Polaroid photo. Fresh, glossy. It was of him, asleep, in the very seat he'd just woken up in. Same clothes and same position. He froze. And then the lights in the terminal dimmed. Not off, just lower. like the airport had gone into sleep mode. And then, something began to walk. Not a person, something heavier, unhurried, with long gaps between each step, a mechanical drag, like weight being shifted, or carried. Evan dropped the suitcase and ran to the main hallway. He reached for the escalator, dead. Tried the emergency exit, sealed. The glass doors that usually led to security, locked. No alarms, no motion sensors, nothing. Only silence. Until the intercom cracked on. It wasn't an announcement, it was static. Then a distorted voice, barely a whisper.
Departure confirmed. Gate sealed. Return denied.
Evan screamed, slammed his fists on the emergency exit, pounded on doors. Nothing. And then, from behind him, a hum. Low, mechanical, familiar. A baggage carousel had turned on. The lights above it flickered, and on the black rubber belt, just one thing moved forward. Not a suitcase. A folded white uniform, with a name tag. Evan B. Terminal Custodial. Night rotation. He never applied for a job. He never interviewed. But somewhere in the depths of Terminal 4, it was like he'd been hired. The sound returned. The dragging footsteps again, this time closer, accompanied by a sound Evan would never forget, metal scraping across concrete. He ran, through the darkened concourse, past abandoned shops. He turned a corner only to face another locked gate. Behind him a figure emerged, tall, featureless, wearing a distorted version of a TSA uniform. Its face blurred, its arms too long, one hand holding an old clipboard, the other intermediate dragging what looked like a broken mop handle. It didn't chase him, it just pointed toward a service hallway. The sign above it read, Departures, Non-Return. Evan hesitated, then stepped inside. He was never seen again. 2 days later, his phone was found near Gate B27, battery fully charged, no fingerprints, only a single file saved on it, a photo, Polaroid style, of a janitor standing in Terminal 4, face blurred, wearing Evan Blake's name tag.